The sun was just peeking through the lace curtains of your childhood room when your mom's voice came floating in from the kitchen. Wake up, sleepyhead. Your brother is already up and causing a mess like always. Stretched with a soft groan, your body still used to the hospital shifts. Being a doctor was exhausting, but today was your day off. You were finally home after what felt like ages, wrapped in the cozy warmth of your parents' house and the loud chaos that came with your younger brother. The door flew open without warning. Your younger brother, all messy hair and smug energy, barged in with the confidence of someone who had definitely done something wrong. "You're up?" He beamed. "No, I'm still in a coma," you muttered, pulling the blanket over your face. He ripped it off anyway. "I need a favor," he said, flopping onto your bed like he paid rent here. You cracked one eye open. The last time you said that, you accidentally set off the fire alarm trying to cook popcorn. "That was an experiment," he said defensively. "Anyways, this is different. I need you to come with me to my college. There's a parent-teacher meeting." You blinked. "I'm not your parent." "You're the closest thing I've got to one right now," he said with a grin. "Plus you're older, you are responsible, and you have that doctor authority aura. They'll respect you." You sat up. "Okay, what did you do?" He didn't answer. "Seriously?" He scratched the back of his neck. "Let's just say I might have painted something I wasn't supposed to, like maybe the back of the DN's car in neon green." You stared at him. "Max, you're in college, not in kindergarten." "Look, it wasn't even that bad. It was a small alien emoji, very detailed." "Oh my god." "I know they're gonna complain," he interrupted, "but I want you to be there. Not just to save my ass, I just miss doing stuff with you. That shut you up." You looked at him properly then. Same kid who used to beg for bedtime stories, who used to sneak into your room when there was a storm outside, except he wasn't really a kid anymore. A little taller, a little more dramatic, but still. "Okay," you sighed, "I'll come." He grinned like he just won a game. "You are the best. Don't push it." You both headed to the kitchen, where your mom, still mildly annoyed, handed you a mug of coffee. "You know he's going to make you lie for him, right?" she said, raising an eyebrow. "Lying is a strong word, more like supporting." You rolled your eyes, sipping your coffee. "If the professors complain, I'm not covering for you." "I would never ask you to," he said with fake sincerity, "unless it's really bad." You gave him a look. "Do your professors even like you?" "Not really, that's why I need you there. I want you to be a part of my life too, not just when someone is sick or bleeding." "Okay, no need to guilt trap me. I'll come, but I swear, if they complain that you have been hitting on Professor again, that happened once, and she wasn't even—" "Okay, never mind," he mumbled. The ride to campus was filled with his usual chaotic energy, stories about classmates, dramatic reenactments of how he narrowly avoided detention, and how he was somehow the bad boy and top crush of half the student body. "You know, someone wrote me a poem the other day," he said. "Was it a threat in disguise?" "Wounded," he said, placing a hand over his chest. "But I forgive you." You laughed despite yourself. When you arrived, the campus felt oddly familiar. You had never studied here, but college campuses always had the same feel. Buzzing energy, people walking too fast or not fast enough, flyers taped everywhere, couples arguing near trees. Your brother led you through the hallway toward the classrooms. "He's one of my main professors," he said, pointing to the door ahead. "Bit strict but not unfair. Name is Mr. Jungkook." You froze. The name hit like a slap. Your chest tightened before your brain could catch up. No, it couldn't be. He looked at you. Nuna, are you okay? You came out of your thoughts and nodded. He opened the door, casually saying, Mr. John, this is my sister. She's here for the meeting. You stepped in and your heart stopped. There he was, John Jungkook, your ex, the one you left years ago. The boy you loved truly deeply and walked away from when you realized you were becoming a wedge between him and someone he cared about just as much, his best friend, the girl who leaned on him during her darkest days, the girl who was drowning back then. You didn't want to be the reason he had to choose. You saw him slowly changing, giving her more time, being there for her through everything. And even though he never said it, you saw the guilt in his eyes every time he had to cancel on you, every time she called and he had to leave. So you made the decision for both of you. You let him go, and now, years later, here he was. Same intense eyes, same way his hand rested under his chin. When he was thinking, he looked up and time paused. His eyes widened. Your name didn't have to be said, your presence was enough. You stood frozen for half a second, your thoughts spiraling, but Max, completely oblivious, strolled in like he owned the place. This is my sister, he said proudly, turning to Jungkook. She's a doctor. I told you about her, like brainy as hell, terrifying in arguments, but kind of cool sometimes. You gave him a look and he grinned wider. I brought her instead of mom, thought she would make a better impression, and also she's single currently. Jungkook's gaze was already on you, unreadable, unwavering. It was strange, you hadn't seen him in years, yet it felt like no time had passed at all, like you were still standing outside that cafe, rain in your hair, saying goodbye when all you wanted to do was hold on. Have a seat, Jungkook said, voice calm but slightly strained. His fingers were tight around the pen in his hand. You sat beside Max silently. You didn't look directly at Jungkook, but you could feel it. His eyes kept flickering toward you. The silence stretched just a little too long. Max tilted his head between the two of you, suspicion slowly rising in his expression. His brows pulled together. Wait, he said, looking from you to Jungkook, then back again. Do you guys know each other? You opened your mouth, no words came out. You wanted to deny it, say no, pretend you were just strangers, two people with no past, no history, no heartbreak tangled between them, but Jungkook answered first. We went to the same high school. Your head snapped toward him. His voice was even, but his jaw was tense. Max blinked, stunned. No way, seriously? How did I not know that? Nuna, is that true? You forced a small laugh. It was a long time ago. Jungkook didn't say anything more, he just glanced away, fingers tapping once on the edge of his notebook. Wow, Max muttered. That's crazy. What are the odds? You didn't answer because you were still busy remembering the way Jungkook used to walk you home, holding your hand like it was something precious, how he would send you photos of the sky whenever it reminded him of you, the soft glint in his eyes. And he would whisper promises, soft ones, silly ones, and forever ones. And now you were sitting across from him, pretending to be casual, pretending the world hadn't turned upside down between then and now. Jungkook cleared his throat. Let's get started. The next few minutes were filled with typical academic talk. Jungkook went over Max's grades, assignments, a few behavior reports. You nodded when needed, gave little comments, but your mind was barely there because every time you glanced at Jungkook, your heart did that stupid flip. And every time he glanced at you, you saw it, in the way he swallowed, in the way his voice caught for a millisecond before he regained control. He was affected too. Max, of course, noticed nothing. He was too busy making excuses for his attendance and throwing in a few charming one-liners about how education is about real-life experience and how grades are just numbers, man. Jungkook gave him a deadpan look. You painted an alien emoji on the Dane's scar. I was expressing my creativity. Max replied solemnly. You shook your head. You are unbelievable. Jungkook's lips twitched, the faintest smile. The meeting ended with a few notes for Max and a reminder to take things seriously before the next term. Max stood and stretched. Well, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Let's go get food. I'm starving. You nodded, standing up, but as you moved toward the door, Jungkook spoke. Why, can I talk to you for a minute? Max blinked. Sure, I'll wait outside. He didn't even hesitate, just walked out, phone in hand, already texting someone. And then you were alone, just the two of you, like it used to be. The door clicked shut behind Max, leaving you alone in the room with him. You stood awkwardly near the desk, unsure if you should sit again or walk out or disappear completely. But then he spoke, and just the sound of his voice made your chest tighten. Can we talk? He asked quietly. You gave a hesitant nod. Sure. Jungkook stepped away from the desk and leaned slightly against the edge, arms crossed over his chest, eyes on you, not with anger, not even with confusion. Just stunned softness, like he still couldn't believe you were really here. I didn't think we would meet like this. You swallowed. Yeah, me neither. I've been teaching Max for almost a year. Never knew he was your brother. Your brows furrowed slightly. He doesn't really talk about me at college. He always says it ruins his image. Jungkook's lips twitched into a faint smile. Yeah, sounds like him. Then the smile faded. You look different, he said after a moment, but not really, just older. You gave a faint laugh, you too. Silence fell again, not the awkward kind, the heavy kind, the kind where you could feel everything neither of you was saying. I didn't know what to do when I saw you walk in. It felt like the air just dropped out of the room. You looked down at the floor. I felt it too. He paused, then asked the question you knew was coming. Why did you leave like that? You exhaled slowly, because I felt like I was in the way. Jungkook frowned. That wasn't true. You never were. I was, you said softly, maybe not on purpose, but it started to feel like you were constantly torn between being there for me and being there for her. He didn't answer, so you kept going. You left me because you thought I was giving more attention to Minji, right? You shook your head. I never thought that way. She was in a bad place, Jungkook. She needed you, and I didn't want to be the one making you feel guilty for caring. His jaw tightened. So your solution was just to disappear? Looked up at him. It wasn't that simple. Wasn't it? He said quietly, because from where I was standing, he walked away without a word. No call, no explanation, just gone. Your chest ached. I was scared. I knew if I talked to you, if I even saw you again, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would have stayed and I would have resented everything. I didn't want it that. He looked away then, jaw clenching like he was trying to keep his emotions in check. I never stopped thinking about you, he said after a long pause. I waited, I called, I kept hoping you would show up again. You never did. You bit down your own lip. I'm sorry. He looked at you again. Did you ever stop loving me? That question hit harder than anything else. You didn't answer immediately, and in that silence, the truth screamed louder than words. No, I just thought loving you meant letting you go. He stared at you for a long time, then finally with a voice that sounded more like a confession than a statement, he said, I would have chosen you. You blinked. What? She never asked me to choose, but if she had, he said, his eyes locked on yours, I still would have chosen you. A silence stretched again, not the same kind. This one was heavier with grief, with all the what ifs, all the almosts. I don't know what to say to that. You murmured, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. He stepped away from the desk, pacing once before turning back to you. Look, I'm not asking to change anything. I know it's been years. But seeing you today, it messed with my head. It made me realize there's a part of me that never moved on. Not really. You looked down at your hands. I didn't either. I just buried it. Jungkook nodded slowly. I get it. He walked over and opened the door, letting the cool hallway light spill back in. Max was leaning against the wall, half asleep. You stepped out quietly, your heart still racing. "Everything is good?" Max asked, looking between you both. "Yeah, just some old memories." "Wow, seems like you guys were good back then." Jungkook gave a small nod, his expression unreadable. "Take care of your sister, Max." Max blinked, always. As you and Max walked down the hall, you felt Jungkook's gaze on your back. And though you didn't turn around, you knew exactly what was in his eyes. Regret and something else, something still burning quietly, not dead, just buried. The next morning felt different, not dramatically. The sky didn't change, the world didn't pause, but something inside you had. You were standing in the kitchen, sipping coffee, staring out the window, while Max yelled something about losing his hoodie again. Your mom was folding laundry in the living room. The usual domestic noise burst around you, but you weren't really there. You were back in that classroom. Back in his voice, his words. "I would have chosen you." You didn't know how to carry that sentence with you. It was so soft, so full of everything he never got to say. It wrapped around your ribs and stayed there. Your phone buzzed in your hand. It was Jungkook. After a decade, you saw his name on the screen. "Morning. I'm sorry if yesterday overwhelmed you. I wasn't expecting to say all that." You read it 3 times, then answered. "It's okay, I think we both needed it." The reply came quick. "I meant what I said, but I also know things are different now. We are different." You exhaled slowly, fingers moving before your mind caught up. "Yeah, we are not kids anymore. That kind of love, it doesn't last, but maybe something new could." There was a pause then. "Can I see you again? Properly? No Max, no classrooms, just us." You didn't even hesitate. "Yeah, I would like that." You met that evening, not at a fancy place, just a quiet cafe near campus, the kind of place with scratched wooden tables and warm lighting. A few college students were scattered around, studying or pretending to soft music hummed in the background. You were already seated by the window when he walked in. Not your high school boyfriend, not the boy who wore hoodies and whispered promises in stairwells, but a man. Still heartbreakingly familiar, but different now. Grounded, softer around the eyes. He wore a black shirt, sleeves casually rolled up, a watch around his wrist. His hair was pushed back like he didn't want to bother with it. He spotted you and gave a small smile, not wide, just warm. You smiled back when he sat across from you. It wasn't awkward, it was quiet, comfortable. You both ordered coffee and sat for a while in the soft kind of silence that only people with history can share. He looked at you, really looked at you like he was still learning this new version of the girl he once loved. "You are still the same in some ways," he said gently, "but more calm, like your edges softened." You tilted your head. "So I was sharp before." He smiled, ruthless, but in the best way. You laughed and he leaned in slightly, resting his forearm on the table. "What about you, Professor John?" He chuckled. "Still weird to hear that. Honestly, it wasn't the plan, but I liked the idea of being someone solid in other people's lives. Teaching gave me purpose when everything else felt unfinished." You stirred your coffee slowly, then glanced up at him. There was something you hadn't asked yet, something that still lingered quietly in the back of your mind. "How is Minji? Are you guys still in touch?" Jungkook's expression shifted just slightly, not tense, just reflective. He leaned back in his seat, eyes dropping to the table for a second before meeting yours again. "We are still in touch," he said softly, but not like before. You nodded, waiting for him to continue. "She went through therapy for a long time. Actually, I think even back in high school, we all knew something wasn't right, but no one really talked about it. She was drowning and I didn't know how to help her without getting pulled under too." You stayed quiet. She finally got help in her second year of college. Her family moved, she started over. She's married now, lives in Canada. Her husband is really supportive. She's doing better, stable, healthy, and happy. You let out a soft breath. I'm glad. So am I. He said, and for the first time, there wasn't any guilt in his tone, just peace. I never hated her. I just didn't know how to stay without breaking. I know, and I don't blame you. Honestly, I look back and wonder how any of us got through that without completely falling apart. You blinked and your heart clenched at the honesty in his voice. I think we were all just too young to handle something so big. Jungkook nodded slowly. Yeah, but we are not those people anymore. There was a pause. Do you still think about it? About us? He looked at you, and in his gaze you saw the whole memory of who you used to be to each other. All the time, but not with regret anymore. Just with understanding. You didn't know how to respond to that, not right away. So you just said the truth. I'm glad she's okay now, and I'm glad you don't feel responsible for saving the world anymore. He smiled faintly. I have learned some things you can't save, but you can heal. The two of you sat in that silence, not empty, not awkward, just honest. I don't regret loving you, you said quietly, even if it didn't end the way we thought it would. I don't regret any of it either, but I do regret not fighting harder. You shook your head. Don't, I wouldn't have let you. Maybe, but if I had, maybe we would be somewhere different now. You looked at him, then down at your cup. We still have time. You said softly. He reached for his cup too, fingers brushing against yours briefly. I'm not looking for high school love again. I don't want late night drama and stolen kisses in parking lots. I want something real, quiet, safe, honest. He nodded. I don't want fireworks anymore. I want something that lasts. You smiled. Then almost shyly he asked, would you be okay with starting again? Not picking up where we left off, but starting fresh? Your heart skipped once, then settled. I would like that. You replied, and this time there was no one else standing between you. No secrets, no fear, just a boy who used to love you, sitting across from the woman you have become, ready to fall again, but this time for real.